Buckeye Talk coming to you with our game time decisions. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com along with Stephen Means, Ohio State in Bloomington, under the lights, the resumption of play after taking a week off. These are the game time decisions that are going to, we think, be kind of the keys of the game, the things you should think about as this game is starting that might be the difference between Ohio State extending this streak they're on or having some problems with the Hoosiers. Stephen, what is your game time decision?
Yeah, I think CJ is right now in a similar position that Justin was when they went into the Indiana game last year, where we all love him. He might be a Heisman Trophy finalist, all this cool stuff. And now he's going to play a team who might test a lot of that out. It might throw some weird stuff at him that he's going to have to respond to. I understand that Indiana's defensive coordinator is now the head coach at South Alabama, so it's not the same guy calling the plays, but it's a lot of the same players and a lot of the same scheme. They just don't blitz nearly as much at all. Like, they blitzed all the time last year, and they're one of the they're like last in the nation or close to last in the nation how much they blitz guys this year. But I want to see what Indiana throws at a young quarterback who's kind of feeling himself after how the last two games went for him, and then how does he respond to that? Because that's going to be a good test to see how much of what we saw from CJ in the beginning of the year, now a now healthy CJ, how much of that is real on both ends of the court. Is he a guy who can make, the right decisions that we've seen over the last couple of weeks? It makes all the throws and even play make when needed to be, or is he going to be a guy who results back to being the person we saw in the first couple of weeks from a decision making standpoint, not necessarily from an execution standpoint, because some of that was on his shoulders. So that's where I want to see as we head into this gauntlet of games for Ohio State. How does CJ Stroud respond when a team maybe throws some funky stuff at him?
Yeah, last year Indiana led the Big Ten in sacks with like 3 point something per game. This year they're last with like half of that. They just haven't been bringing it at the quarterback as much as possible. But I think, kind of to get to your point, it's not to me so much necessarily the pressure. It's just disguised coverages, things he maybe hasn't seen before. I just think Tom Allen's going to have some wrinkle ready for him, and he's going to have to respond. And I was I wrote about it already this week about how is he going to decipher things he hasn't seen before, things he hasn't seen on film yet. He sees them for the first time in real time, and he's got to respond to that. I think you're right. Last year Ohio State was up 35-7 in this game and seemed to be rolling to an easy win, and then it became a very not easy win, though a win at the end of the day, 42-35. And this season Ohio State has had some games where it has not gotten off to a strong start. What we really haven't necessarily seen is a game where they pulled out ahead and then didn't put it away. And especially these last couple of weeks, the Maryland game, the Rutgers game, they've put those games away. But there have been other instances where they did not start off and kind of get that advantage early on, whether that was the Tulsa game, where that team hung around well into the fourth quarter. Even the Akron game, Akron went down and scored first in that game, which was disturbing because Akron's pretty terrible. So I think this is a week where, especially because you're going on the road, in the Big Ten. I don't think you want to take anything for granted. I know Ohio State is trending up, but I think this team needs to get off to some kind of a strong start. I know that's basic, but think about what they did at Rutgers. They go down and score. They get I don't remember if it was a pick six for Denzel Burke, but he got a touchdown. He took it back. So right there, you're up 14-0 before the other team has a chance to blink. People aren't even in their seats yet, and you're up 14-0 on them in their place. I think that's going to be important. This is a huge game for Indiana. They're 2-4. They were supposed to be pretty good again this year, although they knew the schedule was going to be tough. I don't think they thought that they would be spiraling in this direction, though. They can't afford very many more losses in order to be even bowl eligible this year, and they've got a long way to go. So there's a lot. They've kind of got a nothing to lose in some ways approach they can take to this game. And I think Ohio State needs to come out and be strong from the start and kind of set the tone.
Yeah, I actually asked Haskell about last year's Indiana game exactly and what kind of went wrong there and how much of that can you take and kind of implement it here. It's they can't let their foot off the gas. That's the one thing that we have come to know about Ohio State in the Ryan Day area is they like to get out and start out fast, and then all of a sudden they're up 24-7 or whatnot in the first half, and then the question is, can they sustain it in the second half, even if they slow it down at the pace for a little bit? And that's maybe the question there is, you're saying get off to a strong start, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Continue to do what you've done the last two games, but also it's on this defense to not maybe get lackadaisical in the second half and allow, whether it's Michael Penix who plays tomorrow, Jack Tuttle, whoever ends up playing, because I know they have a lot of injuries, not to let them just throw the ball around the yard in the second half and let things loose and make it more of a game than it actually was.
Yeah, this Indiana offense doesn't scare me as much as last year's might have. Scare is not the right word because I don't care who wins either way. But it doesn't impress me as much as last year's did. But I will say, last year I watched Indiana go up against Michigan State and look not that good in the first half. Michael Penix threw a couple of ugly picks, and then they came in to Ohio Stadium the next week, and it was just, laser show. So we'll see if they can conjure something like that. But I think that if Ohio State gets out to a strong start and kind of sets a tone and takes advantage, that's a big, especially with what they have now going with their offensive balance, that gets them a long way towards keeping this rolling as you go into some even tougher challenges ahead for Ohio State. 614-350-3315 is the number for our texts. Sign up, 2-week free trial. If you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up right before the game. You'll get it through the next couple games, and it's all the intel that we're seeing on the field before the game, our analysis during the game, and you can participate in the post-game podcast after the game here with Buckeye Talk.